Welcome back to the Seven Figure Annuity Sales Podcast. Caleb and Chad here. We're going to talk today about how to have a seven-figure January. Chad, you've had a few of those over the years.
I better have. I don't know if I've
Yeah.
ever not, unless I took the whole month off.
Yeah. It's doable. And I've got a few things outlined here that I want to talk through today. But number one, we're going to talk about locking down your process. Super
Okay.
necessary if you're going to try to write seven figures, get your
hmm
leads coming in. Number two, and then number three, study your product solutions in four specific categories. And I'm
Perfect.
convinced that if you've got the opportunity and you can knock these three areas down, you can have a seven figure January. So
Absolutely.
locking down your process, we're talking about calls, appointments, and pending business.
hmm
Chad, one of the things that I noted here was just have your call intro ironed out, how you're actually having those conversations with people. We obviously train in the academy about your call, like how you actually structure that and go through that. But
hmm
what are your thoughts as far as locking down a process, systematizing that, having consistency in that?
Well, the process, I mean, if you think about sales in general, I mean, I've been doing sales for 32 years now, and
Mm-hmm.
sales is always based off of a system and a process based off of each person's personality and characters, how you adapt it. But it's always the same, always. I mean, whether it's a jewelry business, whether it was a LASIK eye surgery, whether it was being a waiter, whether it was being, what I do now, you basically introduce yourself to the client, whatever way that is. You find out what their situation's like. So a fact finder. In other words, even a waiter. Think about this.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of food do you like? If you go to a restaurant and the person's and I'm not sure what to order. Well, what are some things you really like? I like a really good burger. Okay, well now you're fact finding. Do you like onions? Do you like tomatoes? You're finding out what they like. And then you go, well, based off of what you want, you say, what, I really like those crispy onions. God, my mouth is starting to water right now.
Yeah, we need to take
So,
lunch break early.
yeah, I really like those crispy onions and some barbecue sauce. Okay, based off of that. So now we know the problem. So we know what you like. Now we know the problem is you don't have that. So
Hmm.
now we need to have the solution. So the solution is I recommend this Big Tex barbecue burger with the crispy onions on top of it. And I'm just doing it again. But so this is a problem with intermittent fasting and not eating till 7 o'clock. I'm like going,
Oh
I'm
man.
just dying. But so you have the fact finding, finding the
Hmm.
problem. Now you have a solution. And
Right.
the delivery comes in. Well, even if you made the right solution, if the burger tastes horrible, well, then the client's not going to be happy. So you got to make sure the product you're doing, the whole process is finding the right product that the client's going to like. And that's where, how can you not like that you're going to have guaranteed protection from market volatility? That if you do get gains, you'll never go backwards due to market volatility. How can you
Right.
not like that? So I know the meal I'm preparing for the financial meal I'm preparing for my client, I know is going to work for them. And they're going to
Yeah.
love how it tastes.
I love that. I love that. One of the things that I tell agents all the time is they don't even bother
Mm-hmm.
buying leads or spending money on marketing until you've established the process that you're going to work them
Mm-hmm.
with. In
But
other
every
words, you
person
should.
says the number one is like, what do you want? Leads, leads,
Oh
leads.
yeah,
No,
every time.
you know what I want more than leads? I want to know how to effectively communicate and understand the best products that are available out there so I can make the most of each lead, which is why my
Hmm.
average sale is over 450,000 when the average industry average is 150. I get the same leads as everybody else. The difference is that I know what people like to eat.
Because you're asking, you're
I'm
doing,
asking.
you're
Correct.
asking the right questions, you're getting the
Correct.
right information so that you can actually address the issue at hand. But
Correct.
I tell agents all the time, don't even bother. I mean, you're going to waste money if you go buying a bunch of leads and you don't have a
hmm
process that you're going to be working them with. If you treat it
Correct.
just kind of flippantly, willy nilly, and I do think that part of the reason that a lot of agents never systematize a process
hmm
is because of how sporadically their leads actually come in. I think there
Yeah.
are agents out there that they don't budget enough for leads or for marketing, that that's such a low flow that when they
hmm
get a lead in, it's, or a few leads or whatever it is, there's no volume of leads to a point that they actually systematize how they work with each one of them. So they treat each one just basically letting the client dictate the steps along the way, and they want to do
Yep.
this and they want to do that, and now they're just appeasing what this individual's asking for rather than having that system and process in place so that they can actually lead them from point A to point B.
Yeah, can you please
But
breathe in between your sentences?
was I not?
Oh my gosh. It's like, that's a run on, man. You're going to die. Just breathe in between your sentences.
Oh
Okay.
man, I did about 24 hours of training content this week
I
total.
know.
I literally think I was out there recording for about 24 hours this
Yeah.
week, and
Yeah.
so I'm still in that mode, I guess. But
Yeah.
number two was get your leads coming in. I mean, we're here at the end of
Never,
December.
ever, ever stop your leads. You know what I'm counting on?
Yeah,
So
what's that?
most people know I'm moving to Colorado,
Mm-hmm.
and Colorado is very, very, very full territory for leads. So even though I've been with these lead companies for years, they're saying, hey, you know what? I mean, there's like 6, 7 people, sometimes 20 people waiting in line. Now, because of my longevity relationship with them, I'm going to be bumped up number one, number two in the areas. But I said, well, we don't need to worry about whether I'm going to be able to get in or not, because the reality is there's going to be a ton of people shutting off their leads in December. And he said, that
Mm-hmm.
is true. He said, we have so many people that put their leads on pause in December. And that what happens there is when you put it on pause, you now go to the bottom of the line. And so the people that are waiting move to the top. And this is why
Yep.
I'm never worried about leads, is because even in an area that's completely saturated, there's very few people that never shut them off. And then I said,
Right.
remember, not only do I not shut them off, I also will not ever, I very rarely ever ask for a refund.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah. We're here to give context for this and why you shouldn't shut your leads off. I mean, even in Q4,
Hmm.
Chad, you've done over 7.5 million since the start of October.
Okay.
So in Q4, and we still got we got another week next week. You could write some business
Hmm.
before Christmas break, or before
Well, and
Christmas is officially here. But
didn't I take the vast majority of that month off or not? That's
probably,
one.
probably.
Yeah. So
But point
we,
being, seven and a
yeah,
half million in the quarter, and it's the quarter that a lot of people are like, oh yeah, fourth quarter of the year you can't do anything there. It's like, no, you can. You just have to do it. You just
you
actually
do.
have to do the thing.
Yeah.
Don't shut the leads off. Now, I will say, if you're trying to expand, like we're talking right now about get your leads coming in, get
Hmm.
your lead flow established, your companies you're working with, the marketing systems you're using, get those set up and ready to go now. Because even if it takes a week or two for them to actually start kicking, you're going to be wanting those at the start of the year, right? You don't
Correct.
want to be calling in January trying to figure out the leads and marketing strategies you're going to be using for 2024. You want to have those
Correct.
established, ready, in place, so that at the top of the year you can hit the ground running, start producing early. We're talking about having a
Correct.
7-figure January,
Hmm.
not let's work hard in January so I can have a 7-figure February. Now,
Hmm.
let's have a 7-figure January. Get those leads started.
Yeah.
Um, so anyhow, if you don't have, this is one little note I made. If you don't have passive marketing systems, you have to get creative and build active marketing systems.
Hmm.
The difference between the two is basically, what are you having to do? So for Chad, I mean, a lot of your stuff, you obviously do the radio,
Hmm.
but your individual leads, your internet leads and whatnot, a lot of it has gotten to the point now where it's relatively passive. These things are operating in the background
Yeah.
and they're funneling in. If you didn't have those, you would have to be more proactive in your approach to generating leads and getting
Correct.
client opportunities. So
Well, and
you need to bear that in
it's a
mind,
very
listeners.
tough situation. And I'm even thinking, even though I have this steady flow of leads, I'm always thinking the future. So I'm thinking I'm starting to acquire some companies to make
Hmm.
sure I have different lead flows. So I'm reaching out to the places in Colorado and saying, hey, you know what? I might buy this company. Now, once again, most people can't do this because they're not at this point. But as everybody knows, I was $150,000 in credit card debt when I started this business 20
Yeah.
years ago. I mean, this took an enormous amount of time, energy, and effort to do that. And so it's not going to be an overnight thing, but I did have that $2.5 million annuity that I had to split with a life insurance agent. So 50-50, but that's the one that really launched starting, let's see, I think so. That was probably about 9%, 8% comp. So that's basically $120,000 that got shot
Mm-hmm.
into trying to take down that debt. And it took that one moment, and in the momentum, we decided we are never going to be in debt again. And that
Yep.
momentum continued to build. So now I'm at the stage, 16 years later, of being able to say, because it took us about 4 years to figure this thing out. But, now you don't have to figure it out. I mean, you got the podcast, you got the academy, you got all these resources that we do to where you don't have to go through that. And so, I
Right.
mean, you got to constantly be on the cutting edge of new lead systems.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I guess a good way to put our mentality or our kind of our heart behind everything we do
Mm-hmm.
is to try to shorten the growth curve for everybody else.
Right.
Right? If it took Chad 20 years to go from 150,000 in credit card debt to where you at right now, it's like, how do we take what's been gleaned and learned over those years and allow somebody to ramp up in a year, two,
Yep.
three,
Well, I'll
a
tell you
much
what.
shorter
Yeah, we
growth curve?
we have we have a gentleman right now that we're bringing on board where he does 10 million a year virtually, and he's been training a guy for a year and a half, and
Yep.
he's at 7 million virtually. So, I mean, we
Yep.
want to shorten this curve so much to where there's not the growing pains that I've had to go through.
I love it. I love it. The third piece to setting yourself up to have a seven-figure January is study your product solutions now
Hmm.
that should be, I mean, we shouldn't see a ton of product changes between now and the start of the year.
Hmm.
We're kind of getting to that point where products are probably going to hold relatively close to where they're at.
Hmm.
But study those product solutions for high guaranteed lifetime income,
Hmm.
increasing lifetime income,
Hmm.
accumulation, and legacy planning. Those four areas. And if your product solutions in those four areas that are generally going to be your kind of your go-to. Again, we're approaching every client with the
Hmm.
mentality of what's best for their unique
Yeah.
situation, but you will inevitably deal with people and come across people that have very similar
Hmm.
situations where the same product might be the best product for them. So know your
Yeah.
product solutions in all four of those areas inside and
and
out
study
before
all
the
and
start of the year.
study all new products that are out there, because I
Mm-hmm.
have probably 70% of my business going through one company this year, but that's not normally the case. But I still have, I think, 5 different insurance companies, probably 8 or 9 different products. So I mean, I've had to spread it out
Mm-hmm.
this year, but it's very unique situations. But there is one company right now, which if you're part of our organization, you can use that company, because really the product itself, only 35 organizations in the United States have access to this product. And I'm not going to say like everybody else does, we're the only ones that carry this. I hate that. It's like very rarely is that the case, but we are one of 35 that have access to this. So it's a phenomenal product in it right now. I've probably only ever lost 2 or 3 cases this year because somebody else said they have the better product, but it wasn't the product. It was a relationship they had with the current broker. But that's very rarely a case. I mean, I've gotten away millions and millions and millions. I think I just passed 29 million for the year. And
Mm-hmm.
which is still, I still got 2 or 3 weeks, 2 weeks. I still got 2 weeks. And so, I'm hoping to pass this year over 31 to 32. So it's all about the right product and be able to beat other people and not use the same thing that every IMO marketer tells you to use. Then you're just like everybody
Yep.
else.
That's right. That's right. So those are the three big areas. Know your process, have that process inside and out. I mean, you've got it locked down. You know
Yep.
what you're doing. You know what you're saying. You know what you're going
Hmm.
over with them, how you're articulating things. You're bringing them into that flow,
Hmm.
not just flippantly going about it.
Yep.
Get your leads coming in now, right? Build those relationships, those connections with your marketing systems and your lead companies for next year, and then be studying those products. And you do those three things, and you're going to be positioning yourself ahead of most agents going into 2024.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, knock it out of the park.
So, yeah, quick note. Next Monday is Christmas Day. So, Merry Christmas. And then the following Monday,
Feliz Navidad.
yeah, that's right. And then the following Monday is New Year's Day. So, Happy New Year's there. We won't be back until January 8th. We will give you guys the the Christmas break and the New Year's break and enjoy the time with family and friends and make lots of memories and laugh a lot.
For sure.
We'll see you
There's
guys in 2024.
nothing more important than that. Nothing more important than relationships and memories. So have a great
Love it.
week, a great year. Happy selling.